Welcome to your home for local sports in Syracuse. Outside the Box Score with Mark Rowlands starts right now.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Outside the Box Score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse, right here on the Score 1260. If you're hearing this now, it's because you're watching our Twitch and or YouTube stream. Some technical difficulties going on here in the Score 1260 studios right now, so we're just live on Twitch and YouTube right now. Hopefully this will get on the air at some point.
Maybe.
That'd be cool.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a little problem with the log computer here in the studios. Our crackhead engineer, Dave Edwards, who always does a fantastic job, is currently working to get that fixed right now. But yeah, we're just live on Twitch and YouTube.
In the meantime, you get us ad-free and uncensored.
Yeah, I mean,
no,
uncensored enough. We do have a little more fun done during the just Twitch and YouTube parts.
Do you guys hear this guy talking too, or is it just me?
Oh, are you still hearing the air sound?
Yeah.
That's
I don't hear that.
Yeah, I don't hear it either.
Anything good? Maybe it should be on our show.
Talking about the Vikings being plus 350.
What?
What the hell is that from?
Maybe maybe take the headphones off for now, Braylon. I think you'll be better off doing that. As they completely reboot the computer here. Do have some things to talk about. Wait a minute. We're back on. Here we go. So might just make sure that this is okay. Nope, that's still playing. There is still stuff playing in the background that really isn't supposed to be, I don't believe.
Let's just do the first topic, then we'll switch over in like a couple minutes.
Yeah. So what we'll do is talk about some Syracuse basketball to start. Just a quick discussion on Syracuse basketball, because hopefully this won't take too long, and then we can switch right over. Quick talk on Syracuse basketball. They're taking on Notre Dame today at noon. That game's going to be on ESPN.
Somebody wants to watch that game.
Yeah, is surprising because I'm watching basketball game day on ESPN right now, and they're not at the JMA Wireless Dome. They're in North Carolina, I think.
North Carolina.
Or no, they're in Connecticut. Yeah. UConn's got a game.
Oh, okay.
Which that makes sense. But we got a text from Dave Edwards. You're good to go, he says.
We're back.
And we're back. There we go. Here we are now live on the Score 1260 as well. Some technical difficulties here in the Score 1260 studios, but we're back now. So we were talking about some Syracuse basketball. This is Outside the Box Score with me, Mark Rowlands, by the way, your home for local sports in Syracuse.
Rapid response, by the way. 10 minutes or less.
Yes.
Less than 10 minutes.
Like I said, Dave Edwards is
Bang
a great head engineer. Does a fantastic job here at the Score 1260 and for all of the stations here at Cumulus Media in 93Q, 95X. Does all of them.
Sure.
But by himself. He's the only engineer we have. And he's a madman. And I believe he also works with like a station, like the Cumulus stations in like Buffalo or something in Albany. Like he is just a absolute madman.
Regional engineer.
Yeah.
That's great.
He's insane. And we're happy to have him, and we're happy that he helped us out here today. So Syracuse basketball game, noon, JMA Wireless Dome. Line's currently at 7.5.
His team, man. His team.
Who knows? I don't know what to think of this team, because we beat North Carolina.
That's right.
Great game.
We're back.
We're so back.
Yep.
They lay an absolute goose egg against Georgia Tech.
Dead.
60 points the entirety of the game. They lost 65-60. Looked terrible.
Yep.
And then against NC State the other night, they score 55 in the first half.
Gritty as hell.
Chris Bell couldn't miss. Literally hit his first 8 3-point shots, or 7, whatever it was.
Yep.
Literally could not miss. Then he takes 2 in the second half,
Yeah, that was odd.
and SU almost blows it in a game that they had a double-digit lead for a lot of it, up to 15. They were up 15 at halftime.
Yeah.
They end up squeaking one out against NC State, and NC State's not a bad team.
Sure.
NC State's a solid team in the ACC.
Mhm.
But come on, man. It was brutal. It was an absolutely brutal. Could you hear like the very faint
Yes.
talking? Okay,
It's killing you.
yeah, it was the
You're pushing-
CBS knob on this was up ever so slightly. It was bothering the hell out of me. But I don't know what happened in that second half against NC State.
Mhm.
But well, actually, I do know what happened, and I didn't want to start this show with a rant. We've got a lot of great things to talk about.
Rant
A lot of Oswego basketball to talk
yeah.
about because I've been in Laker Hall the past 2 days, and I'll be heading back there today for the SUNYAC finals as Oswego takes on New Paltz, looking to win their 3rd straight SUNYAC title, SUNYAC tournament title.
Yep.
And Oswego hockey tonight also taking on Plattsburgh Whiteout 2.0 in the Deb. So big weekend for Oswego sports. But I didn't want to start this with a rant. But I think I have to start this show with a rant. Judah Mintz
Mhm.
might be the most selfish point guard Syracuse has had in a very long time. And Syracuse has had an interesting history with point guards in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd say. You get guys like your Michael Carter Williams, your Tyler Ennis, guys that distribute the ball but can also score when you need them to. Michael Carter Williams wasn't as much of a scorer as Ennis, but
Yeah.
Definitely a better distributor, good defenders. And then there was like a switch, and we started getting guys like John Gillen, who I love. They beat Duke on a buzzer beater, a Syracuse legend. And then eventually Joe Girard, who, not to pile on, but, a shooter first, passer second.
Yep.
And it was always kind of frustrating to me, at least on a slight level, that the point guards for some reason were shoot first, because I like a point guard that'll distribute. I mean, the 2 of the greatest guards in Syracuse history, Sherman Douglas and Pearl Washington, and Sherman essentially patented the alley-oop in college.
Yep.
That was Syracuse's thing. Was Sherman Douglas was the best alley-oop passer, arguably, between the pros and college. He was just unbelievable at that. And then Pearl, for as great of a scorer as he was, could also distribute the ball. And that was in Red Autry, and another great Syracuse point guard. When someone makes 8 3-pointers in the first half, is absolutely lights out.
Yep.
When Judah Mintz is not on the floor, by the way, he had 2 early fouls, barely played in the first half. It was mainly Quadir Copeland, J.J. Starling, and Kyle Cuff were sort of the primary ball handlers for Syracuse in the first half. Judah comes in the second half and doesn't find Bell once, doesn't run any plays for him, nothing. There wasn't a pick and pop. There was absolutely nothing drawn up for Chris Bell. And I don't believe that's on Red Autry, because Autry is on the sideline screaming, "Pass it to Bell!"
Yeah.
He's wide open in the corner on multiple occasions, and that's his shot, is the corner 3. He's unbelievable from the corner. He's wide open on multiple occasions, and Judah just doesn't find him. But instead, he dribbles the air out of the ball, drives to the lane, tries to draw contact. And the officiating in that game was not great.
Yep.
I watched that game pillar to post. I don't blame officials. Like, I try not to, quote unquote, blame officials ever.
Sure.
Because in my opinion, good teams overcome bad officiating.
Yeah.
We see that in every sport.
Sure.
And so I'm not going to sit here and say the officials were doing a great job, but They didn't call anything all night.
Yep.
The entirety of the night, there was a lot of contact down low going both ways,
Gotta let the kids play.
and they let them play. And read the room. Have some peace of mind where it's like, okay, they haven't been calling anything all night.
Mhm.
So if I drive to the lane, put up an atrocious shot,
Get hacked.
they're not going to call the foul.
Yeah.
So stop doing it. Pass the gosh damn ball and find a teammate. And once again, we saw Syracuse was at its best when Quadir Copeland was the one handling the primary ball handling duties, right? Essentially running the point for Syracuse. When Quadir Copeland was doing that, the offense looked great. They're passing it around. There's great ball movement. It's quick. It's fast paced.
Yep.
And then Judah is just dribbling the air out of the ball, driving into the lane, putting up a 360 reverse layup with a guy that's 6'9", draped all over him.
That big boy from NC State. Too.
He's a big boy.
I love watching him.
Yeah.
He's got a left hook though that is crisp.
He's a big boy, but it's just so frustrating.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating. And I like Judah. And I said it after the game. I think Judah is a really good basketball player. How is that still going? I turned it off. I think Judah is a really good basketball player and not a good decision maker.
Right.
And not a point guard. He's a shooting guard.
Sure.
That is made to run the point.
A slashing shooting guard.
He's a slashing shooting guard.
He's probably more concerned with his draft stock, though. Probably why he's playing like that.
He missed a lot of the first half. You got to make up for it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and
I
that's
was
another thing.
Checking some like mock drafts. He's not even like on
No.
first or second round.
No.
Which when he tried to leave last year, he was like, "Oh, I'm going to see what I'm going to do in the draft," and then he came back, and I still don't think he's risen up any.
He came back, and the first, first bit of the season, first 10 games, it was like, okay, he's definitely raised his draft stock. He was scoring. He was doing everything.
Yep.
He's had a couple of games this year with 7, 8, 9 assists. So we know he can do that. But Braylon, I think you're right. I think right now he's more worried about getting his than he is the team. And it blows my mind. It blows my mind. And I think I'm not going to sit here and say I think Syracuse would be better off without him, because I don't think that's true. He's our leading scorer and has done many great things for Syracuse basketball this year and last. But just figure something out, man.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to where he is not the one. I don't think we need to run the entire offense through him.
Yeah. I think to play the advocate here for Judah, he's by far the best player on Syracuse.
I disagree. I think Malik Brown is the best player on the team.
You think so?
All-around player, I think it's Malik Brown.
Okay.
Because he can defend. He's a really gifted offensive player in terms of getting to the rim.
He's the only guy who can rebound.
Yeah, he's the only guy that can rebound. Judah's probably, and Jim just said this in chat, Judah's like he's the best, I'd say, I don't even want to say traditional player, because I think that's Malik. He's probably the best modern basketball player. When you think of a modern hooper, you think a guy like Judah Mintz.
Right.
But I think all-around player, I think Malik Brown's the best player on the team.
What I'm trying to get at is he probably carries the burden of the team
in
his mind, and I think in the fans' mind too. He's the star of the team.
Right? I think the fans thought that at first. I think a lot of fans are with me now.
Sure.
Yeah.
You could, but I think when you have an off night or you're fouled early, like we're talking about, it can feel like you have to do something. So it's probably him trying to step up. And sometimes you're right. You got to have the mindset of, it's not my night.
Yeah.
Let's pass the rock. And it's hard to probably give that up sometimes, but he can certainly work on it. I think he's probably just dealing with the fact that he takes a lot of responsibility for this team, which I like.
Because he has the biggest name.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
Syracuse.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
But it also gets to a point where it's not about your name. It's not about your draft stock.
Sure.
It's a team.
You know me, I'm the biggest team owner guy in the
Yeah.
world.
Oh,
I understand.
you love the owners.
I hate the players. In all the sports, I love the sports. I hate the players. Put that down. I mean, I hate them. But to give some credit to the players, he's got to deal with a lot of this, and so I think it's hard to become unselfish sometimes if it's not already part of your game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. It's frustrating as hell to watch, man. It's so frustrating. That's a game that Syracuse should have won by 15.
Sure.
Because they were up 15 at half, and all you have to do is hold on in the second half and do exactly what you did in the first half.
Right.
That was the type of game where you don't need to make adjustments at halftime. The defense looked solid. The offense was firing on all cylinders.
Yep.
That's not one of those games where you go into halftime and try to change things. Just do the same thing.
Sure.
And they came out in the second half looking so flat. And I think a big part of it is because Judah played the majority of the second half and had to get his 15 points. It bothers me. I do have more SU basketball to talk about. I was going to start the show with that, and then this whole crazy thing happened. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break, come back here on Outside the Box Score with me, Mark Rowlands, right here on the Score 1260. For the best local beer in Central New York, the only place you need to look is Myers Creek Brewing Company, with 16 different beers on tap at both the Inner Harbor in Syracuse and the Palace that is the Casanova location. Myers Creek has something for everyone. Want a bite to eat? Both locations feature a kitchen with delicious pizzas, some of the best wings in Syracuse, and much more. Make sure to check out our friends at Myers Creek Brewing Company, the official bar of Outside the Box Score. And we're back outside the box score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse, right here on the Score 1260. I meant to start the show with this, and then things got off the rails very quickly here in the Score 1260 studios. So I'm going to do this now. This is something I never really thought I'd have to do. But last week on this show, I reported that I had heard from multiple sources the reason for Benny Williams' dismissal from the Syracuse basketball team. And I put that clip on Twitter, and let me, remind everyone, this is something I heard from multiple people, that I didn't just pull this out of thin air or anything. And I received a message on Twitter from Benny Williams, who watched the clip, and he told me that Because part of what I said was this happened at practice after the Wake Forest game. He goes, dude, I didn't even practice after Wake Forest. So there's no way that this could have happened.
Yeah.
And I apologized to him, and I said, and he asked me to take down. I, like I said, posted a clip from the show on Twitter. He asked me to take down the post, so I did.
Yeah.
And I apologized to him, and I told him that, hey, people are saying this sort of stuff about you, and I'm on your side.
Sure.
I've rooted for Benny since the first time I saw him as a freshman. I thought he was going to be a really good player for this team, and I don't like how that situation went down at all. So I apologized to him then. I told him I would apologize on the show, so this is my public apology for last week. Apparently, the information I received was wrong, and I'm sorry that, I confirmed it with multiple people, but according to the man himself, it was not true. And like I said, I never thought I would have to do this. I take pride in the fact that I confirmed with multiple people, and I try to only bring to you things that I believe are truth. And that didn't happen last week. So I apologize to Benny. I apologize to all you listeners out there who, take what I say like it means something, because I usually try to make it mean something. And that just wasn't the case last week.
Yeah.
So there, just a quick apology and retraction for the things I said last week.
Now you got it straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, and
best source you can get, right?
Yeah, best source you can get is Benny Williams saying nope.
Right, that was fast. Yeah,
I was like, okay. I was surprised because it happened like 4 days after the show.
Yep.
So I was like, whenever I talk about things like that, I'm like, there's a chance that this will get to the player, and
Sure.
who knows if they'll react or anything. And Benny was absolutely a gentleman about it. He said, "There's no hard feelings. You're just doing your job, but just wanted to inform you." And so there is always like a bit of worry,
Right,
that if something isn't right, and if or even if it's an opinion that they're like, why you trash talking me or something.
Yeah.
That it gets back to the player. But in this case, I'm glad it did. I'm very glad it did, because I pride myself in only providing you people with what I think is the truth when it comes to the very light reporting that I do. It doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, I like to make sure everything is right. So
For sure.
wasn't the case. Moving on. But thank you to Benny for reaching out as well. Moving on, talk a little bit more Syracuse athletics. SU lacrosse is red hot.
Have they lost yet?
Yes, they lost
did lose?
to Maryland.
Okay, that's a hell of a.
Yeah, it was a
program.
top 5 matchup. That's what happens. Like,
Sure.
both SU men and women lost to Maryland, I believe.
Okay.
And SU lost to Maryland. It was last Saturday in a heartbreaking fashion, because it was a tie game. SU scores a goal to take the lead. I want to say it was in overtime, which is sudden death. So scores a goal that would have won them the game.
VAR.
Yeah, and then they call they were in the mouth of the crease, and it was close. It is certainly an arguable call.
Sure.
But gets overturned, and Maryland comes back, scores 1, and they win. I want to say it was 11-10. But it has been a great season for Syracuse men's lacrosse so far, and they bounced back on Wednesday, 18-7 win over Utah, which, by the way, Utah is like an up-and-coming program.
Okay.
Syracuse is a top 10 program in the country.
Yep.
What are we doing putting a lacrosse game at noon on a Wednesday?
Don't they have classes?
That's what I thought.
Don't college? Yeah, I guess too busy. I mean, nobody cares about basket weaving 101. That's my favorite to go to.
Oh, yeah, underwater basket weaving.
Yes,
yeah,
that's my favorite. No, I mean that's crazy. That's wild.
It was noon on a Wednesday. I had no idea the game was on until I see a tweet from Tommy Sladak. Shout out sports director, a local sports director here in Syracuse. Great guy. I've met Tommy on multiple occasions, and I see a tweet from Tommy Sladak. He's like, "Yeah, SU's up 10-5 or whatever." I was like, "In what?
Was it?
They're up 10-5 and what? What's going on?"
Was it part of like a tournament or something?
No,
They just scheduled
just at the Dome.
Okay. So
just
Utah,
a noon Wednesday game at the Dome.
Utah guys got up on Tuesday, traveled to Syracuse.
Yeah.
Midweek to get their butts whooped
Uh-huh.
and head home.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming they've got another. I should check that. Another East Coast game this weekend or something.
Still odd.
Very strange. And I had no idea they were playing until halfway through the game.
Yeah.
But they did win 18-7, and Joey Spallina, who right now is probably the best player in the country and one of the favorites to win the whatever it is award that
the Wooden Award of Lacrosse.
Yes.
Nice.
The problem is I'm gonna look it up because I never remember how to pronounce it as well. The Tawaraton Award. Tawaraton. It's
Is it like a Native American name?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Tewaaraton.
Okay. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. So
question.
he's currently one of the favorites to win that award. It's the award annually given out for the best college lacrosse player. It's only been handed out since 2001, but he would become the third Syracuse player to win it. If he does, or I should say third separate Syracuse player. Mike Powell won it twice, former great attack for Syracuse. And where is it? Mike Lavelle won it in 2008, another attack. I'm just looking. No one's ever won it on the women's side for Syracuse.
Okay.
So just men's players have won it. Tied for first in number of awards by university with Maryland, Virginia, and Duke.
Okay.
So each of them have 3 winners each. But it would be cool see Joey Spallina win that. He now has 100 points in his career in just 20 games, third fastest player in Syracuse history to reach 100 points after his 3-goal, 4-assist performance in that Wednesday noon game against Utah. I just can't get over that, man.
Yeah, that's an odd scheduling thing. Maybe it was rescheduled or something. Maybe they had to make keep trying.
Well, no, I'm just checking. They can't hear that when I do
gotcha.
that.
I'll stop addressing it.
No, that doesn't go over air, but I am checking to see what's going on with our computer here. It might just, it might just be dead.
Yeah.
So.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Well, I might just run the rest of the show from this computer.
Do we get to talk about it now, Mark? Where you were last night?
Yes, we do get to talk about it now. The past 2 days, I have been in lovely Oswego, New York. I love Oswego. Spent 4 years there, as did you.
I spent
2. Yeah, that's right. 2 years. Was it only 3 for you?
Only needed 3.
Oh, wow. I have a
No
smart
biggie.
guy.
No biggie.
Mr. Genius over here.
Still doing the same crap you guys. Don't worry about it.
So we all went to SUNY Oswego, a place that holds a special place in our hearts. And past couple days, I've been there for it. My mom just texted me. She goes, "You having some technical problems there?" Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, I am.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. I don't know, man. But I was there the past couple of days. I'll be there later today covering the men's basketball team. Top 10 team in the country, floating between number 4 and number 7 every week when the rankings come out. D3 rankings are so much different because there's 380 Division III teams or something like that. And so the rankings can fluctuate so much more than Division I rankings. So they're consistently a top 10 team in the country. They had a press conference ahead of the SUNYAC playoffs the other night. That was Thursday at 4:30. So I drove up to Laker Hall, got to talk to Coach Leone, some of the guys, Aki Anderson, Jeremiah Sparks, Cartier Bowman, and Jamal Achille. Class acts, as always. Coach Leone, we talked to him last week. I've said it multiple times on the show. One of my favorite people to talk to. Absolute great guy, great coach. He's always been wonderful to me.
Yep.
And he personally thanked me yesterday for the coverage that we've been giving them. And I was like, hey, thank you for giving me access.
Right.
Like, that's my thing is if you're allowing me to give you guys coverage, which some coaches don't do, cough, cough, Syracuse.
Yeah.
And he's been so good to me. And least I can do is talk about this team. And they ended up playing last night. They had a game against Cortland in the SUNYAC semifinals, and it was a nail biter.
Red hot Cortland, mind you.
Red hot Cortland. Yeah,
Cortland-
they had won 7 in a row or something like
And
that.
they're
coming
coming
into
off
the
the
game.
high of being on the top 10 in Sports Center. Do you see this?
Yes, they
Their
buzzer beater.
in overtime.
Yeah, that was
again. Yeah.
massive. I'm trying to think of who they played.
Potsdam, I think.
Potsdam, yes. And yeah, that was huge. So Cortland's coming in red hot,
Yep.
coming off a big win in the quarterfinal round. Oswego got a bye, so
Sure.
no need to even play in those quarterfinals. They're 25-1 on the season now after that win last night.
Undefeated in conference.
Obviously. Yeah.
Either way.
The one loss coming in Las Vegas on December 28th, and it was a nail biter. Oswego's down 9 at the half. A position they have not been in many times this year. Coach Leone said last night they've been down 3 or 4 times this year. Played 26 games.
Yeah.
Been down 3 or 4 times. That's nothing.
Right.
So they're down 9 at half. It was 44-35. They really couldn't get in a rhythm offensively in the first half. Key Anderson was doing great things, and we'll get to him in a second, but he was the leading scorer at halftime. Cartier Bowman looked good. That guy plays like a bull in a china shop, and I love watching him. He's great. He hustles for every ball. And when he drives inside, it's like you're not sure if anyone can stop him. He's really a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
And so watching those two in the first half, it was like, okay, these guys are sort of leading this Lakers team.
Yeah.
But Cortland was just, they were all around a much better team in the first half. They were better defensively. They were better offensively. They were better rebounding the ball. Oswego actually did get beat on the rebounding front last night. It only ended up being by 3. Cortland out rebounded them 37-34, but they were down 9 on the glass at half, I believe. And so Cortland just looked like a much better team. And Coach Leone, to his credit, took all credit for this in the post-game press conference.
Blame you.
Or took all blame for how Oswego played.
I took all the credit for us being down 9.5.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did, because he, in the post-game press conference, was asked, like, you're down 9 at the half, came back, and they did end up winning, by the way, 76-68. And he goes, I just called bad plays.
Yep.
He was like, I called bad defenses, I called bad plays, and I didn't give our guys a chance to go out there and do what they do best. And that's totally on me. And it takes a lot of guts for a coach to say that. I mean, win or loss.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of guts for a coach to be like, no, this isn't on them.
Coach is a hell of a guy. We had him on last week. Loved him. That was my favorite point. We'll get back to the game in a second, but my favorite part about listening to your press conference on Thursday was when you would ask them what's changed since you were a freshman, both about coach or the program, yourself as a player, whatever. And I forget who it was who first answered. And he goes, well, coach is a lot nicer.
That was Jeremiah Sparks.
Coach is a hell of a lot nicer now.
Yeah. Which I will say, because I've known Coach Leone for a number of years now, since I was calling this team's games, which was way too long ago for me. It was like 6 years ago, and I hate that.
Yeah.
Or not 6. It was 4 or 5 years ago.
You say 6. It's okay, man.
Yeah, but it just bothers me. I feel so old when I talk about this team now. And I always compared Leone to Boeheim.
Yeah.
Because in a press scenario, my mom says there's music playing on YouTube right now. I don't know what's going on. Nothing should be
got
playing.
Another tab open?
Maybe nothing should be playing over the stream right now. We haven't heard that in the chat yet, so I don't know. Who knows? This is a nightmare show. I've already determined this is a nightmare show.
It's okay.
Back to us, but I always compare him to Boeheim because in press situations, he was kind of curmudgeon-y a little bit. Jim says there's no music on Twitch, so cool. Thank you, Jim. A little bit, but in a similar way to Boeheim, it was more so he wanted you to be better. Like, he wasn't trying to just be a jerk.
Right. He was looking for improvement.
Yeah, he was like, if you asked some sort of question that he didn't like, he'd be like, yeah, I don't like that question. And very fair. We got a former intern, Steven, in chat as well. It says, "What a game last night! Great day to be a Laker." Absolutely, it is.
Oh yeah.
And but he has evolved so much,
Mm-hmm.
Coach Leone, and I've seen that growth from, 5 years ago to now, and he has grown a lot as a coach and as a person, and so as a lot of these players, and
Yep.
it's been so nice to see guys like Jeremiah, who I remember when he first got on the team as a freshman and was a really raw talent. You could see the talent there. You could see the athleticism, but it took him a while to actually develop into a really good all-around player, which is what
Yep.
he is now. He's a better shooter. He's a better all-around scorer. He's a much better defender than he was when he first came in.
He was the guy I felt like watching the game. He was the one they relied on to close out the game.
Yes.
He completely closed out that game.
Mm-hmm.
He was fast as hell to hustle plays galore. I think it was like 3 or 4 minutes left, and he throws a kind of a bad pass across the court, gets picked off. He's the first guy back on defense running down to block it. I mean, he just never gave up on a play. Really, really good job by him to close that game out.
Yeah, he is absolutely the closer on that team.
Yep.
And it didn't help that Aki Anderson, who was dynamite last night, 28 points, 9 of 17 shooting, 3 of 5 from deep, and 7 of 10 from the free throw line. Also grabbed 7 boards and had 2 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal.
Great game.
All over the stat sheet last night. He went down for a little bit. He got fouled hard, fell hard, and immediately shot his 2 free throws and immediately ran to the trainer's table.
Yeah.
He was asked last night by one of the other student reporters that were there in the press conference after, "You good to go tomorrow?" He's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, no, I'm good."
Yeah.
So he will be going today, but once he sort of came up limp, and it was like, all right, it's Jeremiah's time.
Yeah.
And he is so gifted. He in warmups, just out of the blue, it's layup lines, shooting lines, whatever. Just out of the blue, decided I'm just gonna do like a dunk contest dunk here. Does like the self toss into the bounce, grabs it underneath the leg, windmill, and in. Wow.
Just for fun.
Just for fun.
Just warming up.
Just warming up. And keep in mind, Jeremiah isn't 6'7".
No.
He's 6'3", 190.
Yeah.
Like, good size for a guard, but he's not the biggest dude in the world.
Yeah.
And just yammed it down during warm-ups. And you could see a couple of the Cortland guys like, oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Did you see that? Yeah.
Like, I as soon as he did that, I immediately looked to the Cortland side of the court, and I saw a couple of guys that were looking that way, and they're like, oh. Interesting.
Yeah.
So it was a really good second half. I mean, talk about clamping down on defense. Cortland scored 44 in the first and 24 in the second. So Oswego's defense was a lot sharper in the second half. And playing a team in New Paltz today that beat Oneonta 80-59 yesterday.
Big win.
New Paltz. I asked a couple of the student reporters there because I've been following Oswego for most of the year, but I haven't followed a lot of the SUNYAC teams outside of them because I am a fan of Oswego.
Sure.
Also, this says there was only 560 people in Max Seal Gymnasium last night. That's not true. There were more than that.
From the broadcast, you said they were packing it. The other side.
The other side wasn't very full.
The hard cam side didn't look great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the opposing side.
Sure. I get that.
For the most part. So that's where like the Cortland fans were and stuff. And credit to the Cortland fans that were there. They were really getting into it as well. But it was on the Oswego side, it was a really good crowd.
A long
night.
drive back down 81 last night. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, they did.
Coming.
It's funny. They normally, there's a consolation game.
Yeah.
But in the SUNYAC tournament, there's not doing one.
They just said no.
Yeah, I think Oneonta was like, no.
There's no point.
They got their butts handed to them by New Paltz.
We don't even want third.
They lose by 21 points, and they've got to go back to Oneonta, New York.
Yeah.
And they're like, I think they were just like, screw it. We're not doing this.
They didn't even get a hotel room for the night. They knew they were going. They were done. They didn't even bother at the Knights Inn. They just called it.
The Knights Inn. Shout out the Knights Inn and Oswego. Is that place open? I went there for 4 years. I still go there somewhat regularly. I've never known if that place is open for business.
I think so. I had a friend on the club baseball team of Fredonia, and when they came, they stayed at that Knights Inn. And I'm like, I'm same with you. I didn't know that was a real place. I've only seen it on Parents Weekend. I thought they only opened one weekend a year. I didn't know.
They only open for Parents Weekend.
Yeah.
That, hey, it wouldn't be the worst idea.
No.
But that's Oswego basketball talk. Big game today against New Paltz, like I said. Jim says in the chat, New Paltz 5-4 in their last 9 games. So
definitely some weak spots there.
And they're in Oswego's last 9 games, they're 9-0. In Oswego's last 26 games, they're 25-1. So I like Oswego's chances. Jim said on Twitter, would Oswego minus 3.5 today, and I said I would hammer that line.
Oh, buddy,
that's way too low of a
tight
number.
line for the championship game. I see what you're doing there, Jim.
Yeah.
I'm not buying that.
Interesting point by Coach Leone yesterday too. He said he thinks the semis are harder than the championship game.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because you don't have the same, like the pressure of getting to the finals is different than once you're there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there's more anticipation up to the semifinals, especially when you have a bye.
You know, you only play one game. That's your first game.
Yeah, that's your first game. All the anticipation is building to that. And then, the pressure builds, and he goes, but yeah, just playing the day after, we play back-to-backs all the time. It's just like any other back-to-back that we play, because they play mostly back-to-backs in D3. So he's like, yeah, it's just the second game of a back-to-back. I thought that was really interesting, the way he went about that. We do have to take a timeout. We'll be right back here on Outside the Box Score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse on the Score 1260. If you're a fan of local craft beer, the only place you need to go is Myers Creek Brewing Company, with 16 brews on tap at both the Cazenovia and Inner Harbor locations. Myers Creek has the best selection of locally brewed libations in all of central New York. Want a nice hazy IPA? The Velvet Fog is a must-try. More of a traditional Pilsner, how about the Floatin' on By? And for you sour drinkers, the It Takes Blue to Mango. So crack open a cold one with the official beer of Outside the Box Score, Myers Creek.
There's always a moment of truth where I say, look, it's either put up or shut up. And it was time to put up.
Yeah. What's happening right now?
I crossed that thin line.
Everything like on the regular air is just turned down.
We were on fire.
I'm just letting it play to get them out of the way. And then I'm just playing PSAs that are actually going over.
Even in our tiredness, even in our weakness, even in our pain, we continue to push. I told myself, you can suck up the pain for another mile and a half, and you will be a Marine.
Well, we have that one other show
that I could do
that, like,
I don't know where I got the energy from.
Yeah, like things kept playing, and so it's happened before. Well, yeah, because they didn't it wasn't set up for my show that day. It was like the music was in there, but nothing else.
Will you visit Marines.com or call 1-800-MARINES? The few, the proud, the Marines.
Pop up.
Yeah,
I remember that.
We first opened about 10 years ago.
Thanks, Mom.
We were small, just a few of us, but it was exciting. I always dreamt of having my own business. It was kind of slow at first, but things started picking up. We had big plans, but in our wildest dreams, we never thought we'd have this much work. Yeah, with so many businesses caught off guard by the storm, Reed Waste Management has never been busier.
What will become of your business after a disaster? Nearly 2/3 of businesses aren't prepared for an emergency, and 40% of businesses that experience a disaster never recover. Make an emergency plan now, before it's too late. For a free online tool that helps you develop an emergency plan to keep your business up and running should disaster strike, visit ready.gov/business. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the American Red Cross, and the Ad Council.
No, just right here. That was me talking about it. He said,
get out to the forest and discover the wonders of nature with your family, just like Blue, Jewel, and the whole Rio flock.
Let the kids connect to their roots. It's going to be so much fun. Yeah!
Let's rock this jungle.
Fresh air.
What a glorious morning.
Clean water.
Woohoo!
and endless surprises.
Yo, this is untapped territory.
How amazing.
Visit discovertheforest.org, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
But if things go bad, they should go real bad.
And we're back outside the box score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse, right here on the score 1260. About 15 minutes left. By the way, phone line's open 315-671-1260 if you do want to chime in. Meant to say that earlier in the show, but we've been very distracted.
Yeah.
Do want to go through some of the high school basketball scores. We are officially in sectionals now. Quarterfinals just getting underway recently. We had. Now, I haven't been following as closely as I would like. This just seems like an upset to me. Fulton beating FM 71-50. FM usually just has really good athletics programs, and that seems like an upset. Unless Fayetteville Manlius. And so that, just looking at that, surprises me. We do have West Hill continuing to just be insane at basketball. I've got their coach's number. I got to reach out to him and have him on, especially if they go on to win sectionals again. They took down South Jefferson 82-53 the other night. Rome Free Academy beating Baldwinsville 62-56.
Big win.
Shout out RFA. Josh currently
Huge fan now.
partially residing in Rome.
That's right.
Sometimes. I mean, that's what it is. In Nottingham beating PSLA in the quarterfinal round at Fowler, so a little Syracuse City matchup there, 72-46. I'm looking at, I might be missing it here. I'm trying to find my Cougars. So I got to see if Corcoran did anything
for you.
Yeah, I'm not seeing Corcoran on here. Yeah. Oh well. Yep. Nope. Not seeing him. Probably didn't even make sectionals. Even though it's open sectionals now and everyone makes sectionals, it wouldn't surprise me if Corcoran didn't make it. I think they're still doing that, right? Yeah, they still do open sectionals. I know they do. Because that's something that I wish we had, so I would have been able to play in sectionals my 1 year of playing varsity baseball and my 2 years of playing varsity volleyball, but didn't have that. Apparently COVID, they were just like, yeah, everyone gets to play in sectionals now. It's like, huh? It was one of those rule changes that doesn't make sense in the context of there being a pandemic, but they just did it anyway.
Just expand the tournaments, Mark. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
At all levels.
Except March Madness.
That's right.
John Rothstein is big anti-expanding the tournament.
I just saw it. We were talking about it before the show.
Yeah.
I think that is the dumbest idea.
Oh, I
in
agree.
all of sports.
Yeah, they shouldn't do that.
No, not at all.
The tournament is the best thing in sports. It's the best tournament or final system in any sport of all time.
Well, maybe, just to say this, maybe that's why they want to. Because let's add 100 teams.
The only excuse or reason for it would be the money. And if you're going to add it to, let's say 100 is the number, which is crazy.
That's an absurd number of teams.
But let's say it's the number. Do the top 4 seeds in all the regions get a bye?
Yeah.
They should. They're not. Now they have to win, 9 games instead of 7?
I think that's the only way you can do it. Is if the top 4 seeds get a bye. And it's
crazy. It's absolute madness.
Everyone, whether you're a college basketball fan or not, everyone agrees that March Madness is the best postseason in all of sports. Don't touch it.
It'd just be a cash grab.
Yeah, well, everything in college sports is just a cash grab. That's how college sports are built. That's why the conference realignments are happening. I was watching. It made me so mad. The other night, my dad and I were watching. It was SMU versus Florida Atlantic.
Okay.
So, and Florida Atlantic ended up winning. It was a basketball game. It makes me so mad that SMU is a conference game for SU next year.
They're in the ACC next year?
Yeah. It's Cale, Stanford, and Southern Methodist University.
I didn't realize SMU was part of that.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's crazy.
It infuriates me.
All the conference realignment. There's going to be a story when they inevitably make this true, because they probably will expand it. It's all a big cash grab, whatever.
Yeah.
They're going to play the sympathetic card and be like, well, we just need more money to pay these athletes. That's what you guys want. We're gonna
Yeah.
pay them, and to do that, we need to expand the tournament.
No, you don't.
Which is crazy.
It's absolutely
I think
absurd.
it's a mix of that, and there's probably guys from programs, like I said, like Syracuse or a Duke, if they have an off year when Coach Cayley, whatever, like those massive programs that can make more money in the tournament who might miss out one year because they don't deserve it. And that's just what happens. Sometimes it happens. Programs go through lulls. It's okay, but they just can't have that.
Yeah.
Like Dukes and Syracuse, these massive programs just want to be in the tournament every year.
Yeah.
You have to earn it. Everyone has to earn it. That's the great part about it.
Yeah, Jim says, why not have 128 teams? Then 15 and 17 teams can get in.
Right.
Yeah, it's for the most part, every team that doesn't make the tournament doesn't deserve to be in the tournament.
I want to go back through every tournament's history and find the first 4 out by Joe Lunardi.
Yep.
And I want to see if that team really should have made it. Did Temple deserve to make the tournament that year? Was FAU really that good? Should they have made the tournament? The answer, I'm certain, in all cases, maybe 1 or 2, will be no.
Yeah,
they didn't need it.
There are times when teams do get screwed.
Sure.
It happens. It happens in every sport where teams get screwed. 99% of the time, it's not. And we were talking about it because we were talking about the Mountain West.
Yeah.
And how the Mountain West might have like 7 teams in the tournament this year.
Love the Mountain West.
And I like the Mountain West.
Sure.
I like watching San Diego State and Utah State and all these teams. We've seen what happens when a lot of Mountain West teams get in the tournament.
Yeah.
And one of them makes the Sweet 16 and loses by 20 to Syracuse.
Right.
This is a thing that happened.
The other thing that I'm saying, these teams that are barely eked out as the 11 seed in the tournament, they're not contenders. Nobody's wanting them to be in the tournament because they think they had a shot at winning it all. No.
Yeah.
You didn't. You never had a shot.
But think about the upsets, though. Just think about it.
Think
about the upsets.
Don't get me with the upsets.
And think about last year. What was it? Florida Atlantic?
Yeah, it was Florida Atlantic.
And then like years ago, it was George Mason.
Yeah,
Florida Gulf Coast.
They might get that run where it's like a 12 and 20 team that runs to the Final Four.
Yeah, they just want, instead of a 16 seed upset, they want the 24 seed to upset the 1 seed in the second round. And I can't stand it. It's not worth it. You can still get upsets. Everyone will be happy.
Yes.
Give me chalk. I'm back on the other break. Give me chalk. I want 1-1-1-1 in my Final Four.
I love upsets. Okay, they're the best. One of the best parts of March Madness is watching a UMBC take down Virginia.
Yeah.
Or who was it last year? It was Furman.
Oh yes, Furman. Tennessee.
Take
14-3.
No, it was Virginia, wasn't it?
Was it Purdue?
It was Purdue. The 16 over the 1.
How am I thinking Furman? Did they play Tennessee in the next round?
Yeah, they might have.
They beat them again.
Yeah, I think they did.
Oh, okay.
But it was a 16-1 again.
Yeah.
Those are always fun. Shout out me. I had Furman money line. Because
Sicko.
Purdue are frauds, and I was saying it before the tournament. So I said I'm going to bet Furman to win, and they did. And yes, I am a sicko. I'm absolutely a sicko when it comes to college basketball. And upsets are great, but how often do they end in a ring?
Yeah, never. Like
maybe
Jimmy Vel.
Yeah, NC State.
Only NC State can I think of.
Yeah.
Sure, we've seen Elite Eights. We've seen Final Fours.
We've seen,
Nobody
absolutely.
wins at all.
No one except for Jimmy V.
What's the lowest seed even in our life? Butler, maybe? Like the 8 or 9 seed that one year, right?
Yeah, I think they were an 8
they that
seed.
low?
Yeah, I think they were an 8 seed.
That's the
Loyola
lowest.
Chicago.
Yeah, but they didn't win it all.
No, they were.
didn't win it all.
Did they make it to the Final Four, or were they
think they
Elite
got to
8?
One or the other. I think
Yeah,
they got to the Final Four.
I got some thoughts on that. We can't talk about.
No,
Loyola Chicago.
I know.
Sister Jean's still kicking somehow. I don't know.
Somehow, it's amazing.
They're gonna
really,
wheel her out. I know it damn well. They're gonna wheel her out on center court.
She's still throwing out like first pitches at Cubs games. Well,
she can barely throw her TV remote. Okay, this is next.
We're moving
Next
on.
team.
We're moving on because we have to take a break. We'll be right back to wrap things up here on Outside the Box Score with me, Mark Rowlands. For the best local beer in Central New York, the only place you need to look is Myers Creek Brewing Company, with 16 different beers on tap at both the Inner Harbor in Syracuse and the Palace that is the Cazenovia location. Myers Creek has something for everyone. Want a bite to eat? Both locations feature a kitchen with delicious pizzas, some of the best wings in Syracuse, and much more. Make sure to check out our friends at Myers Creek Brewing Company, the official bar of Outside the Box Score.
Blue is my favorite color. What's yours? What's yours? Red is my favorite color.
Yeah, thankfully.
What's yours?
He was the lefty. They used to hit him. They're like, that's the devil's tip.
Yeah, the devil's tip, for sure.
And me, I'm keen on green. So what's your favorite color? Tell us, please.
Kids will spend 20 minutes listening to songs like this.
Favorite color? Tell us, please.
Yeah, no, she
shockingly.
What's your favorite color?
keeps getting older. She looked great for 106.
What's your favorite color? What's your favorite?
How about 2 minutes to brush their teeth? Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. 2 minutes twice a day.
All right.
Save the time. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives and the Ad Council.
Hey, parents of children with asthma, here's another hit from the Breathe Easies.
Mom's listening. My mom likes Catholic. I'm a Catholic. Yeah, yeah. We were talking last week about your when you go to church, you have to feel bad about yourself. And I said, yeah, you're a Catholic.
Preventing asthma attacks can be as simple as making your home and car smoke-free zones. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
And we're back, wrapping up an interesting hour here on Outside the Box Score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse. Shout out Jim for saying hit the like button before you log off. Thank you, Jim. Make sure, smash that like button. Like, comment, and subscribe.
There it is.
Hit that notification bell because we do live stream this on Twitch and YouTube every single week. Get a behind-the-scenes look. You can listen to us talk during the breaks. Sometimes it's an engaging conversation. Sometimes it's Josh talking about nuns. And but we got a camera set up in here. We got lights, the whole nine. It's I forgot to turn the LEDs on today. I just realized I've got these LED strips in here that I usually turn on and
set the mood for the show.
Set the mood for the show. I usually I set one to one color and one to a different color of a singular team. So like today, if I did, I would have had green and gold for Oswego.
There you go.
So I usually do stuff like that.
I didn't even know you thought about it. I just thought Mark was like, and red today.
I didn't know you were that smart, is what you were about to say.
No, that's not what I said.
I mean, you'd be right. I'm not. It took me like 3 weeks to be like, I should do that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I have these lights in here. It took me like 3 weeks to be like, what if I celebrated the teams we have?
There you go.
But yeah, you're right. I'm not that smart. But I do want to thank everyone for being in the chat. We've had Jim in there. Mike, your father was in the chat tonight. Said Georgetown deserves to be in the tournament. We've won 3 Big East games in 3 years. Just give us a chance.
He wasn't familiar with how bad it was. Like somebody tweeted that out, that stat, and he was like, I didn't realize. I'm like, they barely win one a year.
Yeah.
Like DePaul should be the easy one. You're a psycho for thinking they're going to win today in DePaul. It's a short line. I have no faith in this team. Absolutely.
Oh, no, you shouldn't, but DePaul's so bad, man.
Georgetown's so bad.
Yeah, but they're not DePaul bad.
You say that.
DePaul's real bad.
I don't know how Georgetown's like Ken Palm is like mid 100s. I'm like, how bad are other teams? I've seen some bad teams.
Yeah.
I think they'd give Detroit Mercy a good game. I mean, they really suck. You send Georgetown to IUPUI, and it's going to be a tight game.
Georgetown versus Oswego. Who wins?
Leone and the coach in the Zeal. It's a tight spread. I don't know.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll be back next week, hopefully with a more organized show. 11 a.m., same channel on the Score 1260. Peace.